Hey, 351 Cleveland. Welcome back, Matt. Yeah, we moved. Uh, I got moved and reset up. We're going to try it over here for a little bit. Hey, Dan, this is where I really wanted to fish. The wind is kind of bad, so I'm having to leave the phone inside the vehicle to record. I hope y'all can see the rods. Hey, Kelly B. This spot here is a huge, shallow flat. The creeks dump in out here in front of me. That tree line you see over there, there's a little creek, a slough that runs through there called Collins Slough that also goes in before the creeks dump out. And where I'm at right now, this is an old road bed. Used to be a road that was here before the lake was built, and it still got the concrete bridges and stuff under the water. And when them fish move up in here and start spawning, them big fish will get in them concrete bridges, and also they'll travel both sides of this road because it's raised and it drops off on both sides of it. So they'll use that for cover and structure. Uh, this is one of my favorite fishing spots. Uh, when the fish are here, you can slay them. May still be a little bit early in the year, but I'm going to come over here and try it. Glad everyone's popping back in, but it's not too windy to fish. It's too windy to record. Uh, if you were just out here fishing, this wouldn't be bad. But you can see we got some pretty good waves coming in. It's not white capping though. So, hey, TX Tiger. Hey, Johnny. Nothing yet. I just moved over here to a new spot. Uh, this is over where the creeks dump in at. When the fish start pulling up to spawn, they'll pull up in here real thick. So I'm just testing the waters and seeing if anything's over here yet. I'm still using shad for bait. I noticed guys are taking kayaks and running up the creeks. So that tells me the sand bass and the crappie are starting to run up the creek. There were people fishing on the bridges of the highway when I come by, and there's guys with kayaks going in down here. So there's an island straight out in front of me, several hundred yards, but you can just see all the birds gathered up around that island, which tells me there's a lot of shad over there. Hey, Justin. And I got 4 rods out, guys. I got 3 on this side. I've got one throwed out on this other side just in case, because they will travel both sides of this road. One thing about it, when it's cloudy and overcast like this, it makes it a lot easier to read the messages. I can actually see the screen. When it gets warmer, you'll see me wade out in the water here. I'll walk out about waist deep and then throw out and come back just to hit the deeper water. But that water's a little bit chilly for that right now. That's why I'm really wanting to get some longer rods where I can get more casting distance. A lot of people may not realize it. Sometimes it may be only 20 yards that makes a difference between you catching fish and not catching fish. Hope everyone's had a good Easter. I'm hoping we have better luck over here. Even if it's a little one, I'm ready to catch a fish. Which all I've got is 8, 9, and 10-odd hooks. I don't use anything smaller than 8-odd. I was hoping to catch some fresh shad, some bigger shad, where I can use the big pieces. But I like the big shad, at least 8 inches. It's a lot wider, and for cut bait, I think it puts a lot more scent out in the water. And this is the time of the year to not be afraid to throw those bigger baits. Springtime, when they're coming out of that winter pattern, they really seem to feed real good. And I'm ready for it to start. Dan's watching the Hatfields and McCoys. No, Matt, I don't have a light rod out for bluegill. I didn't bring any worms or anything. I left them at the house. A lot of times you can catch them up in these coves where I'm at in the shallow water. Also the carp. I've never used carp for bait, but after watching the guys up in DC and the area around there use them, if I catch one, I'm going to use it for cut bait and try it. Hey, Polar Bear. Polar Bear, I'm at Eureka Lake Reservoir. It's in southern central Oklahoma. I'm just about 35 minutes, 40 minutes from here, north of the Red River. We're back in here in a spot where the fish normally like to move up and spawn. So with this little bit of cloud and overcast, they could have moved out to a little bit deeper water, but we've had lots of warm weather and high winds. So normally they'll pull up into these shallows. Been looking for schooling bait. I want to catch some fresh shad in my net, but the other place I was at, there was a few shad hitting here and there, but they were real scattered and not schooling good. We got Santee Cooper rig on 2 rods and Carolina rig on the other 2. I've never really used the Santee Cooper rig till now, and I'm trying it out. just to see if it makes any difference at all. Kind of give them a different bait presentation. It acts like that wind may die down a little bit. I can take my coat off. There was absolutely no wind this morning. It was going to be perfect. And I got out here and wanted to fish, and the wind decided it was going to blow. Yeah, polar bear, it's always good to experiment. Try different things, try different spots. Hey, Becca, I got some of the Demon Dragon style floats, Johnny, but I'm a little leery of using them because even when you run your line through them eyes, I think it creates pinch points on that line. And my biggest fear is hooking a big one and him breaking that line where it goes through those eyes. So uh, I'm using peg floats is what I've got on today. You look for the drop offs. Yeah, there's no drop off right here where I'm at, Matt. Just a little one on both sides of this road where it makes the ditch. It's really pretty flat and stays pretty shallow for a long ways. Uh, the deepest water around here is probably 12 to 15 foot till you get way out there. And so I'm just going to see how they work. If nothing else, at least it gets that bait up off the bottom a little bit. May make it easier for them to get it in their mouth. I don't know. I know after not being able to fish for about a week or so, I'm really ready to see a rod go down. This time of year, waiting for that spring season to hit, it's almost like being a kid at Christmas because you know at any time they could turn on and just start hammering the bait. A lot of times over here, we're so close to those creeks, especially if there's water coming in the creeks. Uh, man, I've been over here, and the only thing you can catch them on is red worms. They wouldn't hit shad, they wouldn't hit live bait, cut bait, nothing, but they would eat red worms. Yeah, the rattle might help, Justin. Uh, but out here, we don't really have no current. Now, if you had a live bluegill or something on, uh, him swimming would make it rattle. But and also on them Demon Dragon style floats, I know you can tie two different knots. Tie one at the front and tie one at the back instead of running your line through the eyes. But the more knots and stuff you tie, the more spots you create for failure. And I don't really like having to tie the extra knot because, like I say, that's just something else that could go wrong. I know when the catfish pull up in here to spawn, this is a prime location. Uh, they'll scatter out along this bank, and it's probably half a mile wide through here. You can go anywhere on this bank usually, and as long as that wind's out of the south, you can catch them. I haven't tried the Versa rattles, Justin. I've seen a lot of people use them, but like I say, most of the places I fish are lakes. There's no current in them, so unless I've got a live bluegill or something on there swimming, uh, creating current, uh, the rattles really won't do me no good. I will say this about the Santee Cooper rig. Uh, I'm trying to teach my wife to keep her rod tip up high when she reels it in, but she constantly wants to come down low, and she snags up a lot. The Santee rig seems to help with that, and I guess it floats that hook up off the bottom, so even when she's reeling slow, it doesn't get tangled up and hooked up on the rocks or the brush as much. So if you got a spot that you tangle up, snag up a lot, uh, you might try that Santee Cooper rig and see if it helps. I know there's a spot over here that's got huge shell rock, and during the summer, them flatheads pull up in there, up under that shell rock, and I'm gonna try some of the dragging weights, the drifting weights from Santee Drifters. Jimmy with fishing gear, uh, I got some of his, and I'm gonna try them out over in them rocks because fishing from the bank, if you reel in without a fish, 99% of the time you're going to get snagged, either your hook or your sinker. So I'm going to try that Santee Cooper rig with one of them dragon weights, and that will kind of pick it up off the bottom, and that dragon weight will kind of go over the rocks and the stump to where these no rolls just dig. I don't know that it's going to work, but in theory, it sounds great, and I'm going to try it. Creeks, yeah. We've got two creeks that feed this lake, Matt, and a Little Beaver and Big Beaver Creek. And when they start running in here, that fresh water coming in, all them fish will start running up that creek. The sand bass run up there, the catfish, the crappie, and there's guys fishing the creek right now, chasing the sand bass and the crappie that have come up the creeks. And they cleaned a lot of the creeks out. There used to be some good log jams in there. You could go to them log jams and catch the crappie and the catfish in them log jams really good. But they're trying to reduce the amount of flooding down here. So they went in and took heavy equipment in and tried to clear a lot of it out. But the sad thing is they keep trying to clear the creeks out, but where the creeks dump into the lake is real shallow. It's silted in over the years. And it's only about a foot deep for maybe 100 yards or more. And they should have went in and cleared that out when the lake was low, and that way the water can come out of the creeks faster and it's not backed up. Because it doesn't matter how clear that creek is, if that water cannot leave that creek and come into this lake as fast as it's coming into that creek, it just backs up and floods everywhere. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, Matt. That's what I got them for. Because I fish a lot of places that is rocks and stumps, and got a lot of underwater cover. So, and those that Jimmy Santee drifters make, he's got that breakaway snap on the top of them to where you can tie it, and as long as you tie it with lighter line than what you're using for your main line, it'll just break that sinker off and you keep your rig. It's pretty neat because when he sends you the dragon weights that he makes, he's got instructions in there with it. And, you know, what size line works best for your drop line for your sinker, and tells you how to rig everything. And he does a really great job. Jimmy with Fishing and Gear makes them at, if you look up his channel or Santee Drifters, I think I have some still here in the car. Let me check. I don't know if you can see that, but it's SanteeDrifters.com. I can show you what they look like. I've got so much fishing stuff in my wife's vehicle. You attach them, he's got a little breakaway swivel up here. They work great. I've seen them drifting with them, and I'm going to try them out for them real snaggy areas. And he recommends on your drop line for that sinker, he recommends 30-pound line. But if you're only fishing with 25-pound main line, you don't want to use a 30-pound. Make sure your dropper line for that weight is lighter than the main line you're using. Hey, Donald Weir, how you doing? Be doing a lot better, Donald, if I can get these fish to bite. Thank you, Becca, for sharing Santee Drifter's website out. Jimmy's a great guy, and he makes quality stuff. I really like it. I try and stay local in our catfish community. Hey, Mike Turner. So anybody that sells products that I need, like my weights, my hooks, peg floats, everything like that, I try and buy from people within inside our catfish community. If I'm going to have to buy them anyway, I might as well get someone in our family and pay them instead of just sending it to Amazon. I know Lee Reed, Lou's Tackle, Uncle Lou's. He's got a lot of great stuff. I got some hooks and stuff from him, and got the 9/0 and 10/0 both. And I'm really excited to see how they work. They've got a real wide hook gap. So for live bluegill fishing or big pieces of cut bait, I think them hooks are going to be awesome. They're an octopus style circle hook with the offset point, and that's really what I like. Yeah, anytime now they should start getting fired up, start moving into these flats to spawn. That's why I always like to come here and check this spot. You don't want to show up late to the party here. So I always like to come over and check it out just to see how things are doing. If I don't catch nothing here, I don't catch nothing here. But at least I know they're not already pulling up in here. Because, guys, it does not take long. You may fish this spot one day and not get anything and come back in here 2 days later and it be loaded with fish. Yeah, Ohio and Matt, that's exactly why I went to the circle hook. I never used the circle hook till last year. I always used J hook, and fishing with 4 rods, I would miss a lot of fish because I'd be messing with one rod and they'd hit the other one. Well, with these circle hooks, if they take that and they run and it loads that rod up, it will set the hook and you don't miss as many fish. It takes a little bit to get used to it first because your instinct is wanting to set the hook, but don't set the hook. Just let them take the bait and they'll load it up and hook themselves. And depending on the size wire of the circle hooks you're using, uh, if you're using a real heavy wire hook, you kind of want a rod that's got a stiffer tip. That way he can load that rod up. If your rod's too soft, he can load that rod and fold it over, and we won't get a good hook set with that heavy wire hook. The fine wire hooks will hook just fine, but with the heavier wire hooks, I like a little bit stiffer rod. Hey, Lynn, got some nice bluegill this morning. They're going to be bait tomorrow. I don't blame you, Johnny. I really like to get some bluegill. One of the little creeks we fish for bluegill, normally you can go down there and catch them just as quick as it hits the water. And but we've had some rain and it's flowing, and you can't keep your cork still long enough for them to bite it. No, Ohioan, don't lock down the drag. Uh, I keep my reels locked in, but I don't lock down the drag because a big fish, when he hits and he takes off with it, it's okay if he pulls some drag because it'll still set the hook. And when he's pulling that drag, you can always tighten your drag. But if your drag is too tight and that fish hits, a lot of times he'll break your line or you'll end up pulling the hook through his tissue and out of his mouth. Uh, so don't lock your drag down. I always check mine, and I'll usually take my hand and make sure the drag will slip a little bit, and it hasn't got to be just loose. You want it tight enough that he gets the hook set. But when that fish surges and gets that power, uh, you want the action of the rod. And like me, I use mono, so it stretches. So I've got the action of the rod, the stretch of the mono, and then the drag on the reel to help me fight that fish. Reason a lot of guys lose their big fish a lot of the times is they try and horse them in. Don't try and horse them in. Enjoy the fight of the fish, wear him out, and work him down some. I know a lot of guys like braid, but I do not like braid for that simple fact as it has no stretch in it. And with the rocks and stumps and places I fish, it has no abrasion resistance. Uh, Braid gets cut real easy. This mono that I'm using, uh, it's super tough. It's Berkeley Big Game is all I use, and I've got 40-pound main line with a 65-pound leader, and it's really abrasion resistant. Hey, man, we all learn. That's how we learn. We ask questions, we try different stuff, but yeah, don't lock the drag down. You can always tighten your drag if the fish is pulling too much drag, and you can tell when you're fighting him if it's real easy for him to pull drag. But a lot of the times that fish will not give you an opportunity to back that drag off. So I'd rather have my drag too loose than too tight. Yeah, I like the mono. Not like I say for the abrasion resistance and for the stretch. Uh-oh. There's fish hitting the top of the water over here. I don't know what it is, but he's having a heyday. Right here off the bank, probably 5, 6 foot. He's right underneath my dang lines where I'd throw my cast net. It's probably a carp, but I'll catch that carp and cut that puppy up for bait. Yeah, big game is one of my favorites, Matt. Uh, a lot of people like the Andy line, and from what I've seen, the Andy versus the big game, like a 30-pound, if Andy is rated for 30 pounds, it's going to break pretty close to that 30 pounds. Hey, Steve Austin, 30-pound big game, it may be rated for 30 pounds, but you may get over 40 and over 50 pounds with it before it breaks. Uh, I have caught, I don't know how many big fish on 25-pound big game, and it really handles more than what it's rated for. It's super abrasion resistant and super tough. Uh, this 60-pound leader and 40-pound mono, when you get snagged on something, you got to work to break it. It's something. It's not going to just snap on you. Like me, I like the high vis green. I like the high vis green because I can see the line on the water. And my leader line, I use the darker moss green uh, because I don't really need to see the line under the water. I need to see where the line hits the water. You use a 100-pound braid for a 5-pound cat. You too, Matt. Becca, she was supposed to come out with me today, and she didn't. She told me go ahead and go, and she will try and get out here, but I haven't heard from her. She had to take her uncle to the store and stuff like that. Got a small channel this morning, Mike Turner? Yeah. Yeah, I like the high vis green, Matt. A lot of people ask why, but I got on that high vis green years ago, and a lot of times when I was out here and I was using the boat fishing a lot, uh, the fish would get really uh, picky on the bait, and they would pick it up and start to go with it, but the moment they felt tension, they would drop the bait. And so I started slacklining them. And instead of having my lines tight, I would feed them out about a foot to 2 foot of slack and just let it sit there. And then I could watch the line as it hit the water and could see the line start going. And I could pick the rod up and have it in my hand ready by the time the fish got to the end of that 2 foot leader. And you can catch them like that. Yeah, I like being out here too. I love the waves rolling in. The lakes and creeks have always been my thinking spot. When I need to clear my head and stuff, even as a young kid, I would drive out here and just lay out under the stars on the hood of my car. Or after I got my truck, I'd bring my truck and just sit and think. Hey, Nathan. Nothing yet, Nathan. We moved spots and we're trying it. We've been here about 40 minutes and nothing yet. Acts like the sun's trying to break through. I am starting to notice some smaller fish. I can't tell if they're shad or carp or what. Starting to play up here in these coves. Looks like that one rod, that middle rod, just had a bite. And this wind, they're not going to be able to peck at it. They're going to have to hit it like they want it. Ooh, there comes some of that sun. One thing about this lake here, guys, all this land that you can see all the way around me, it's all public hunting land. Normally this time of year, I'm out here getting ready to chase turkeys, but since I hurt my back, I have not been turkey hunting. You can tell I'm out in the country here. We got some young kids on four-wheelers and dirt bikes up here playing and out here having fun on Easter. Yeah, Mike Turner, I seen y'all guys been catching them sturgeon. I'd never seen one till y'all caught one. They're pretty wild looking. Thanks, Becca. Yeah, them sturgeon are definitely wild looking. I'm gonna give it a little bit longer here, guys. We go an hour here and nothing bites. I'm gonna move and try and hit one of the spots with deeper water and see if maybe this overcast and stuff, see if maybe they pulled out back into a little deeper water. Y'all get them every year? Yeah, we don't have them down here. I'd never seen one. Yeah, they're pretty wild looking, Becca. Almost prehistoric. At least they knew what the sturgeon was when they started catching them. If I'd have reeled it in, I wouldn't have had a clue what it was. Water's a little bit choppy, but the guy had a boat, that island right over there that's got all them birds on that leading edge of that island. I guarantee you there's tons of bait and fish over there right now. You find them birds on that body of water on these lakes, you find the birds, you'll find the bait. You find the bait, you find the fish. Their spines are sharp too. They're pretty wild. Not really on my list of have to catch. I know that spot Lynn and Mike Turner have been fishing. Looks like it's a pretty good step off down to the bottom on that bank they're at. I've noticed when they were landing that fish, they kind of hopped down to get to it. Leonard caught that carp this morning. Man, something big just come up out of the water out there. Yeah, I'm not sure I'd want to mess with one of them sturgeon. They're pretty wild looking. Guys, we're not doing very good today. Been almost 2 hours, an hour at one spot and an hour at the other spot. And about all we had at the first spot was a turtle bite. I've been watching the guys in the UK do a lot of fishing and watched them catch a dogfish the other night. That was pretty neat. I'd never seen one. Had no idea what a dogfish was till they finally caught one. I heard them talk about it, but I'd never seen one. I've never done any kind of saltwater fishing. It's freshwater only. This plane is just buzzing this lake. He's not very far over it. He's fixing to come right overhead. Hmm. They're a pain to you UK anglers, Nathan. I'd never seen one. I think it was Local Marks I was watching the other night that caught one. And man, they almost look like a shark. They say they're part of the shark family. Uh, they look like it. Johnny, are you going to go live tomorrow when you go fishing? I noticed the last couple of times you've kind of moved off the lake and we're trying to fish the river. These fish are just not showing any signs of life today. All them young kids on their 4-wheelers and dirt bikes. They're done playing. They're fixing to head on out. It's good to see kids out doing stuff like that. At least they're outside and not sitting at the house with their head stuck in a video game. Was it John I was watching? I watch so many channels anymore, it's hard for me to keep up because I watch everything. Somebody goes live, I'm usually there. Sometimes the hardest decision is we've got 3 or 4 people live at the same time, and you're trying to figure out which one you want to watch. Just go back and forth. Yeah, I try and pop into everyone's channel to at least hit the thumbs up and show them support and let them know, hey, we care, kind of make a difference. Like, I think Palmetto and Haz are going live here pretty soon, and I'm going to miss it, but I'll watch it when I get back. Well, guys, we're not having no luck here. They just went live and I already got one. All right, guys, I'm gonna get off of here and try and find another spot because we've been an hour without a bite here. Also, if I can find a spot that I can go live at again, I will. If not, I'll catch everybody next time. But I'm definitely trying to move around and get on these fish. So I appreciate everybody stopping in. There's inshore fishing. I'll just keep trying to move around and see if we can get one of these fish to bite because they don't seem to be wanting to bite here either. I've got a little bit of daylight left, so I'm going to move around and, hey, Skin and Scales, and see if I can find us another spot, guys. Thanks, everyone.